Sports Talk Chicago. Number Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's a baseball columnist at USA Today and an insider for MLB Network and Odyssey. Please welcome Bob Nightengale to the program. Bob, it's great to have you on. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks, John.
So, Bob, what's your reaction to the baseball lockout, first off?
Well, it's unfortunate. I'm on the optimistic side. I still don't think it's going to cost them any games of spring training, let alone the regular season. It would be a suicide for both sides. I think they'll start negotiating here sometime in mid-January, and I really do believe they'll get a deal done sometime by early February.
What's the main point of contention right now?
It's a little bit of everything, John. So it seems like it's all tied together. The big thing the players want is more competitive balance. They don't want these teams tanking. They also want a lot more money for the younger players. I do think MLB agrees that, that's why they said, let's have $100 million floor. They'll raise the minimum salaries. They don't want to lower free agency. They don't want to lower the time it takes to become a arbitration eligible player. So it's like all tied together with the, expanded playoffs and whatnot. So I don't think they're that far apart where if they just sit down together, they get, knock something out in a few days. But I think once they get past the free agent part and the salary arbitration part, then they get it done.
Do you see any changes coming to the rules aspect of the game? Maybe 7-inning doubleheaders, universal DH, or expanded playoffs like you alluded to?
I think we'll definitely see expanded playoffs. And maybe the Players Association said we'll go up to 12. MLB wants 14. I think we'll go to 14. Give that a try. The 7-inning doubleheaders will be gone. Remember, now that was just for the pandemic. Pandemic, bounces back in 2022 or continues, the Omicron. It might be different. But right now they plan to go to, it's not fair for the fans. And, you're paying for a 9-inning game out of a 7-inning game. So the 9-inning doubleheaders will be back. We'll see about the ghost runner on second base. The players like it. The owners seem to like it. I think they'll move it back to maybe the 12th inning and do that instead of right away in the 10th inning. No pitch clock yet or things like that or banning shifts. I think the pitch clock will be coming in 2023, but not right away.
What do you think of all these changes personally?
It takes getting used to as far as the ghost runner on second base. But I remember us having to sit down a couple of springs ago with Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant. And it was Anthony that brought up, he goes, think about it. We got the most boring overtime in sports. NHL is fun with a 3-on-3, basketball, of course, is 5 minutes. The, NFL is exciting. But, you go to a game and when it rolls runs at the 10th inning, a lot of fans leave. So at least maybe you start in the 12th inning, you'll keep fans in the seats for a while.
What's the longest game you've ever covered, innings-wise?
I'm trying to think, John. 16 innings for sure. Maybe 18 innings, but never a 20. Never a 20 for sure.
How was that for you to have to sit there for all those innings and hope somebody got something done and moved on?
Well, that's the problem. It gets boring. I mean, people in the press box, whether the writers or broadcasters are moaning, TV broadcasters are moaning and groaning. The fans leave, more by the inning. And when it gets late in games, you're talking about, less than 1,000 fans, maybe 500 fans are sticking around. The beer concessions have stopped and everything else. Most of the concession stands have closed. It's getting late and people say, I'll go home and listen to the radio.
Let me ask you this. What's one thing baseball doesn't have that you want?
I just like to see a return of action. Someone put it to me this way, and I thought it was a great analogy. Because what baseball is now, it'd be like Tom Brady sitting back and throwing a bomb on every play. It's exciting when it connects, but you like the drives in football and things like that. In baseball, you like the rallies. And right now, we're seeing a home run and nothing for 6 innings. So I like to see more emphasis on guys, swing the bat, put the ball in play. I mean, at the end of last season, I don't think even the players knew who was in line for the betting title. Here's Tim Anderson, going for it. Outside Chicago, no one's even talking about it, or whoever city, the guy's going for the betting title. It's a shame. It used to be a big thing. Now no one pays attention to it.
How much of a contrast is that from when you started covering the game to today?
Oh, massive. It used to be, everybody knew who the batting title leaders were, who's going to win a batting title. I remember when I was coming to San Diego Padres, the last weekend was Tony Gwynn versus Will Clark. Everybody had the mathematical, calculations down, who needs how many hits. And it was a fun thing. The whole country was, paying attention to it. Now nobody pays attention at all.
Bob Nightengale here on Sports Talk Chicago. Bob, what do you make of your Hall of Fame ballot?
Yeah, it's a last year of the big boys. We were talking about Bonds and Clemens and Sosa. I thought forever, John, that those guys would go in, not Sosa, but Bonds and Clemens. And now I don't think it's going to happen. They have to make too big of a jump in those. And they're making a jump for a while, then it stopped. So it'll be interesting. I sure hope that no writer doesn't vote for Bonds or Clemens, but yet votes for, A-Rod or Man Ramirez. Those guys were suspended. The thing about Bonds and Clemens, hey, they help themselves, but they help their teams too. Never suspended a single day. Where in the case for, an A-Rod, Manny, whether it's Robinson Cano on the ballot one day, those guys killed their teams by getting suspended. And those rules were in place. There were no rules in place for Bonds and Clemens. In fact, PED was encouraged by GMs and managers and coaches. So, yeah, I felt bad. I think those guys should get in, but I don't think they will.
So you're not going to vote for A-Rod yourself, right, based on that rule you said?
No. Those rules were in place, John, and they invited him. He got suspended. A-Rod crushed the Yankees by being out the entire 2014 season. Manny was suspended 3 times, but there were no rules before. It's almost like if you're on a highway, out west, and the speed limit's, 70 miles an hour, there's not going to be a cop around. You're not going 7, you're going 90. And the same thing in baseball. The PED use was out of control. And, there's at least a half a dozen guys who are big steroid users who are in the Hall of Fame right now.
Like who?
Yeah, I don't want to say the names just because they, don't get sued or anything. But, the obvious guys, we'll say there were stronger links, to guys like Mike Piazza, Pudge Rodriguez, Jeff Bagwell than there ever was to Bonds or Clemens. Remember now, Pudge lost 40 pounds at the time of testing. It was kind of how is this possible? But you saw so many guys get big, and even guys were throwing 100 miles an hour all of a sudden when they weren't before. So it wasn't just the hitters. There's plenty of pitchers too.
How do you characterize David Ortiz's case?
It'd be interesting. I think some people may say, I'm not going to vote for him the first year. I don't want to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I'll vote for him then on. He's by the anonymous drug test. Who knows if those were all valid or not. Those things should have been leaked. It's unfortunate his was. So, same thing. It's like, you don't have he was never suspended, never failed a drug test. So, I voted for him. I think it's a close call. I think he's going to fall a little bit short. If he doesn't get it this year, I think he'll definitely get it next year.
What's going to be his problem in not making it this first year? Do you think that positive test is going to be a problem?
Yeah, just people think that, hey, the people that don't vote for steroid guys say, wait a minute now, he flunked an anonymous test, so I'm not going to vote for him. Lump him in with all the rest. And other people say, well, it's not conclusive evidence, that sort of thing. Who knows who it's a false positive. Maybe I'll vote for him, years later. But he's kind of a separate little category.
Well, the guys you voted for last year stand your ballot this year. You voted for a couple of different guys, Jeff Kent being one of them, Billy Wagner too, a couple of guys who don't have as much support. Do you expect to retain them?
I do. Wagner, I was never a Wagner guy. And then you look at the stats and strikeout rate. And back then it was, those guys were embarrassed to strike out. So I wish he had more innings, wish he had more saves. But a dominant guy. He wasn't in the Rivera or Hoffman class, but close. Jeff Kent, as soon as I had room on my ballot, I voted for him every year since. Just you're talking about, one of the greatest offensive second basemen ever. Besides the home runs, just up there in slugging percentage and everything else. So that's why I vote for him. I'm I'm not sure either guy will make it. I think Wagner will. I think Kent's a flip of a coin.
What about the Veterans Committee when it comes to guys like Kent, the steroid users too, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens? Do you think they eventually get in via that other way?
I'm not sure. A lot of things will have to change. I think they're eligible this November on that ballot, John. I really hope Fred Mcgriff gets in. I think, he is the guy who got snubbed. He got hurt by all the steroid users because he was clean. And so his numbers year after year got dwarfed, even though he's hitting 30 and 100 every single year. You look at him now, just saw him about a month ago. It's the same body type as always been. So I hope McGriff gets in. I think Bruce Bochy will get in this November as well. I don't think Clemens and Bonds yet. Maybe one day, but I think there'll be too many. Might be tougher to get in by the Veterans Committee than the writers.
You voted last year for Schilling and Vizquel too. Are they going to be off your ballot now this year with all the new things that have come out about them?
Schilling will stay on. I know he says, take me off. Jack Morris used to say that. Bert Lyman said that. Guys get frustrated. So he's staying on. This is the last year of eligibility. I think he's going to fall short. I think he hurt himself by saying, go ahead, I don't want to be on. So people say, okay, I don't have room on my ballot. I'll take him off. I'm taking Vizquel off just with the allegations, everything else. If he's proven innocent in the court of law and things like that, it's, you can always put him back on the ballot. But he's losing a lot of votes. I think he'll stay over 5%, but he's going to have a massive drop off.
Who's a real close call for you right now? Someone you're really weighing and thinking about checking the box?
Scott Rowland is one of them. I still think he falls short. Maybe I'll change my mind years to come. And Todd Helton, great guy and stuff like that. But you think, hey, if Fred McGriff's not in, how in the world can Todd Helton get in? Helton hit 300 some home runs at Coors Field, which was, easy to hit home runs and everything else. Terrific guy and everything else. But those two guys, I said, okay, let me take a closer look at in future years.
Does Tori Hunter get your vote again too?
No, I haven't voted for Andrew Jones. So if I don't vote for Andrew, I can't do it for Tori Hunter. Last year was almost like an acknowledgement, just what he meant for the game and everything else. Terrific ambassador for the game, but just falls short. Fabulous career, but not a Hall of Fame career statistically. Like I said, Andrew Jones, he just kind of fell off the face of the earth there at the end. It's too bad because he was sort of on that trajectory.
Is there another LaTroy Hawkins type player on the ballot this year?
No, that was a one-time thing, just acknowledgement what he meant, and 20 some years and great for the sport, absolutely great teammate. And so no, nothing like that. There was I know who. There was another voter who also voted for LaTroy. His ballot was anonymous. I'm not going to say who it was, but he was one who has done for years. Like, what's the tip of a hat to some guy who played the game right if you have room on your ballot? And that was certainly LaTroy Hawkins.
How much flack did you get for that vote?
Not much. With the explanation, what he meant. It wasn't like I was taking away somebody off the ballot saying, okay, I'll put LaTroy Hawkins on and not Billy Wagner or something like that. It was just acknowledgement of what he meant. I felt bad when guys don't get any votes at all. I really do. But started way back when Hal McRae didn't get a vote. It'd be nice for these guys to at least get one vote. I understand they don't. But yeah, it's great for them to be on the Hall of Fame ballot. But still, I think it's even better to have at least one vote.
At this point, do you expect anybody to get in from this ballot coming up?
I don't. I think David Ortiz comes close, and that's it. He might be a flip of a coin. I think he falls a little bit short this year, so I don't. But, with the Veterans Committee having, six people in, and the families and things like that, that will kind of make up for Cooperstown, even if Ortiz isn't elected.
Bob Nightengale still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Bob, a few more questions before we finish up. First off, the worst jinx you put out on Twitter was what?
Yeah. I don't know where all of a sudden people think it's a jinx, like at Sports Illustrated. Yeah, I can't. I mean, as far as predictions, that type of thing, I can't think of one. I don't know why. People get excited about that. This is the first time in my life I had the last 3 World Series winners right. With the Atlanta this year, Dodgers, and then the Washington Nationals in 19. But yeah, I think people think that, if you think your team's going to win, they're not going to win, because I think they're going to win.
How flooded are your mentions? I mean, a lot of people I see, when you put out something, they go like, okay, it's not going to happen now. They go the opposite of what you say. What's your response to that?
Yeah, just got to ignore it. I mean, that's what Twitter's about, right? There's so much negativity, and people say that all the time. Yeah, it's almost a thing where you want to be more cautious now. I mean, everybody knew Buck Showalter was giving the manager, and I said, okay, it's Buck's the obvious choice. The same thing. He's not going to get it now. Of course, he's going to get it. That sort of thing. You knew that back in November. So yeah, just kind of ignore all the stuff on the Twitter, to be honest.
How about your best prognostication? What would that be?
Ooh, it might have been the Washington Nationals in 2019, because people weren't talking about that winning so much. Atlanta to a little degree, not much. I mean, I don't think it was that big a shock. Everybody's picking the Dodgers. But yeah, it was picked the Cubs in 16, but a lot of guys picked it. A lot of people picked the Cubs. So yeah, I can't think of one that just jumps out, or some rookie who I said, this guy's getting the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I've never done anything like that.
Before we finish up today, last question: who's the greatest player you've ever seen play?
Barry Bonds, easily. I think you put him down as one of the top 2 or 3 greatest players who ever lived. I mean, Babe Ruth pitched. Okay, you put him behind Ruth. Obviously, you've seen more home runs than teams combined. But Bonds, I've never seen anything like it. Nothing even close. You can talk about the great players in the game now, whether it's Acuna, Trout, those type of guys, but nothing like Bonds, where when he got pitches they hit, they were going over the fence. I covered a lot of his games when he broke the record. If he had pitches to hit that year, instead of 73 home runs, he would have hit 95 home runs. He was unbelievable.
What's the top memory you have of Barry Bonds?
It might have been what he was doing in the World Series in 2002. That was kind of his coming out party. He had kind of struggled in the postseason before that. So just how powerful he was, almost taking the Giants single-handedly to the World Series. It was cool seeing his record, breaking Hank Aaron's record, and not so much breaking Mark McGwire's. The McGwire record breaking Roger Maris. That might have been the coolest thing I've ever seen as far as emotions. Him hugging the Roger Maris family, son jumping his arms. That was, an unbelievable. We look around the press box, people kind of crying and stuff like that. But a really cool moment where it wasn't so much with Bonds. I think too, because the record was just set a few years earlier.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for joining me. Always appreciate the time. Best wishes here. Spring training hopefully ramps up, and looking forward to the next time we chat. Thank you so much.
Sure. Look forward to it. Thanks, John.